I am so excited to welcome all of you here today. I'm Natalie Benamu. I am the founder of Her C-Suite, and we are a community of amazing women. Many of you are members, and for those of you who are not, we're excited to have you with us today. We are building what's next, and we help women really get clear on how to be in demand for board roles, expand businesses, create that portfolio career. And we have programs every month. Today we had a program, oh my gosh, which you're going to find out about in a moment. So I want to just ask everyone, just raise your hand. This is an informal question. How many of you feel a little lost with AI? Should raise your hand. Yeah. Do you feel like you're kind of like this sheep? And of course, there's pink. Anyone that knows me, I have to rack out the pink, although I do have a different color in case you haven't noticed today. But anyone that is feeling a little overwhelmed, we understand, and we're right there with you. That's why we're here today. You are going to hear the most amazing conversation today from Tina Lampe. So I can't wait to get started. And it is my incredible pleasure to introduce you to Tina Lampe. I got to meet Tina through Innovation Women. It is our speakers bureau. It is where I meet many amazing speakers. And Tina is an expert in AI and cybersecurity. We had a conversation about a month ago. We were maybe longer than that. And we were talking about AI, and it was like, what is happening with security and AI? And she started sharing some of the amazing things she's doing. And so I am thrilled to have you here, Tina. Thank you for being with us. I'm going to stop sharing, turn it over to you. Welcome. I'm so excited for you to talk a little bit about this world of AI and help us understand it, because there were quite a few hands that got raised with the sheep not knowing. So yeah.
Yeah, so let me see if I can get this sharing. Can you all see?
Yes, we could see.
Okay. So, welcome everyone. I am very excited to be here today. I need to move my chat here. 1 second. Okay. I'm very excited to be here and to have folks talk about security and AI. As we know, impact is being discussed in and impacting every industry. And responsible innovation includes cybersecurity. It needs to be part of the AI discussion. So we're going to start that today. And again, thank you for joining. Just a little footnote, I am an AI ambassador, or I'm sorry, a global ambassador for uh, a U.S. ambassador. Sorry, I'll get it right one of these times, for the Global Council for Responsible AI. So this is definitely right in my wheelhouse. So what we are going to talk about today at a very high level is leadership focus and why we care, Gen AI, Agentic AI, and other common AI concepts, AI security, privacy, and oversight, administering AI innovation, influence, bias, and other ethical considerations, and finally, some key takeaways. So I hope you all find this very useful of your time. So let's start with the leadership focus and why we care. So my friend, Julie Talbot Hubbard, recently posted this quote that the C-suite has a blind spot when AI becomes your invisible decision maker. So the question is who and or what is steering decisions? And it still may be humans today, but we are quickly seeing that change. AI is becoming more deeply integrated into business operations by automating decisions, managing projects, writing code, and even advising on strategy. But there is a question, right? who is responsible when the AI makes a mistake? Who is accountable for that mistake? Determining accountability becomes very complicated as it involves assessing both the actions of the AI as well as the human operators. It is important at this point to keep the human in the loop, and you may hear the term HITL, and that means human in the loop, especially for impactful decisions. It's important as well to put guardrails around our AI decisions. And when I think of guardrails in I think since AI is statistics based, I personally think of guardrails like a probability distribution standard deviation bell curve, which I have the picture here. So it's where you're, how close to the center do you want to put those guardrails? So let's jump to some common concepts. So first we have Gen AI or generative AI, which most people have heard of. Uh, we can think of Gen AI as the creator. It's called Gen AI because you can generate new content such as text, images, music, code, and video. You may have also heard the term large language models or LLM. These can be thought of as the interpreter. So large language models understand and generate human language or ideas. Agentic AI can be thought of as the doer. This is also called autonomous AI or self-directed AI. Through agentic AI, you can make decisions without constant human guidance. Agentic AI can interact with both humans and other AI agents. Next, we have machine learning. Machine learning is a basic building block for AI. It is a method to process data to identify patterns and make decisions. And I have this a flow chart on the next slide that kind of helps visualize that. It's important to understand that AI is non-deterministic. And what this means is that you can ask it the same question, make the same request, do the same prompt 2 times, and you will not get the same answer. And finally, you may have heard hallucinations in respect to AI. And that just means that AI is providing inaccurate responses. So when we look at the machine learning process, and this is historical, the AI in relation to machine learning has been around since the 1950s. Machine learning is used to identify patterns and make predictions with data. So the machine learning process is 5 steps. The first one is the data is collected and pre-processed. Number 2, the model is trained. Number 3, the feature extraction occurs and analysis on those features. Number 4, real-time application and decision making. And number 5, the feedback and model updates. And there's a lot of times folks use pictures of animals to kind of explain this process. So hopefully this will make it easier to visualize. So if I have pictures of animals and I want to train the model, I feed the model in those pictures of animals to identify patterns and relationships. Then we extract the features. So we may, as part of our feature extraction, we may extract neck length and body size and head size and ear size. And so you may have features such as the neck to body size ratio. If it's a certain value, it may be a giraffe. And the ear to head size ratio, in a certain value, it may be a rabbit. So then we take the model and we feed more pictures into the model and see how the model categorizes those pictures. We look at the feedback of that categorization and determine where things were miscategorized, such as like you may have a husky dog who has long ears categorized as a rabbit, or a flamingo categorized as a giraffe. And so then you take those, that's called enhancing the model. Uh, but you take those characteristics and you try to make the results of the model better. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. So again, the current AI evolution and approximate timeframes. So machine learning's been around since like the 1950s. It's been primarily, for the first many decades was primarily a computer science or a strong technical focused area. In about 2023, generative AI became mainstream, and generative AI is used for to be like an assistant. And this year, agentic AI is becoming more mainstream, and agentic AI is more autonomous. So if we jump to AI security, privacy, and oversight, something important to understand is that in July of this year, our current administration published the American AI Action Plan. And the goal of that plan is to win the AI race, to lead in innovation, infrastructure, and global partnerships. So, and as part of that, it was stated that the AI systems are becoming essential tools, profoundly shaping how Americans consume information, but these tools must also be trustworthy. The action plan includes directives such as bolstering critical infrastructure, cybersecurity, and promoting secure by design AI technologies and applications. So, as the US is being pushed to lead on AI, we also need to race to protect our organizations for any nefarious actors out there. So when we look at AI in the field of cybersecurity, um, for anyone familiar with cybersecurity, you always look at threat vectors. And like when we went to the cloud, when we moved our processing to the cloud, we had different threat vectors or new threat vectors that we needed to consider. And that is the same way with AI. No one has this all figured out yet, but some of the major threat vectors with AI include digital identity. So we're seeing the erosion of the current foundations of digital identity through deepfakes. And if you're not familiar with the term deepfakes, it's those um, videos that you may see online that it shows somebody's face and they may be saying things that that person would never say, right? At least I have seen a lot of those on social media, and I try to figure out if it's real or if it's AI generated, and it is very hard to tell. Um, there's also poisoning of LLMs or poisoning of the interpreters, to have results which are unexpected. Threat vectors include AI generated malware, which can be used like for ransomware, um, data mining or stealing intellectual property, the AI powered social engineering, which we talked about with digital identity, but also our listening devices like our cell phones, using search history and purchase history. I find myself getting offers of just what I need at the exact right time. And I step back and I think, is this real or is this harmful? Many cases, that's just those AI algorithms kind of running in the background. And finally, in the world of cybersecurity, we use this term called recognizance, which just means that before a threat actor uh, usually tries to attack a company, they go through and they try to determine, what methods they can use to attack or steal information from that company. Well, now there's actually a service that you can go out there and subscribe to, which will give you an attack blueprint for companies. So that is very concerning. So the World Economic Forum as well gives four AI value enablers, which include frameworks and guidance, human engagement, organizational change, and audits and assessments. And as you can see, cybersecurity is an integral part of the AI value enablers, both the frameworks and guidance and the audits and the assessments. There's also trustworthy AI governance frameworks out there. These two are from the US, but there's other frameworks globally that help companies or organizations introduce AI governance into their company. So when we talk about administering AI innovation, it's best to enhance existing governance to include AI. But with that, to note that AI has some specific items to be governed. So always when you're talking about governing AI innovation, the data governance is first. It's very important that you understand the data lineage or where the data has come from, what kind of legal rights do you have to that data, the integrity of the data, and whether you have the appropriate access controls on the data. The second thing is to take an AI inventory. Um, there may be AI being used outside of the IT organization in your company. It's important to understand all the places where AI is being used. And the third item is the AI governance. So, have you performed an AI readiness assessment, including the benefits, risks, resources, and use cases? And also, we need to get in place the enterprise governing body and stakeholders for the AI. Next, we'll discuss influence, bias, and other ethical considerations. So, are you aware of AI influence? We talked about the recommendations for products, just what you need at the right time. Also, especially with Gen AI, folks have used that to create policy documents or contracts for suppliers. And there's been cases where whole sections have been forgotten, and that has harmed the organization. Also, when you use generated content from Gen AI, you need to ensure again what data was used uh, and fed into the model for the generation of that content because there's intellectual property considerations. We've seen some legal cases in that area, and there's bound to be a lot more. My suggestion, and what I do myself, is I always, like if I had a policy document to create, I think about the things that need to be included in that document. I kind of outline those things. And then if I want to, I use AI to either improve the words in the document or to ensure that AI doesn't come up with something that I may have forgotten. But I personally always start with my own thoughts first so that I am not swayed by what the AI output provides. There are also ethical considerations. The privacy of folks and their personal data versus targeted innovation. There's a fine line to walk there. Different generations in general have different tolerance regarding the use of personal data. Those of us who are a little bit older um, are more concerned with personal data usage than our young folks who have kind of grown up with personal data being used. The bias and fairness. A biased AI could result in profiling or unfair decisions regarding certain groups, which may cause reputational harm to your organization. Trust, transparency, and explanation. Lack of AI transparency and the ability to explain and understand decision making can cause unintended consequences. And finally, physical safety. Health decisions, the physical environment decisions, and AI being given agency, which is the ability to make decisions on its own, all needs to be considered. And at this point in time, my suggestion would be to keep the human in the loop. So, key takeaways. Um, First one, assess your organization's AI readiness or AI governance maturity. The second one, continually invest time to stay current on AI regulations, compliance rules, and enhancements, which are progressing at an exponential pace. That in itself is probably a full-time job. And third, lead the conversation on trustworthy, secure, and agentic innovation in AI. As we spoke at the beginning of the discussion, AI impact is being discussed and impacting every industry. Thank you for being part of the conversation today around responsible innovation, including cybersecurity. So, opening it up for questions.
Thank you so much, Tina. I mean, this has been so, I think, informative for all of us. And also, I want to add in something that was you and I had talked about. But as we look at 2030, 2028, 2030, the big wealth transfer, the reason this is so important for women to know about and really think about is that this wealth transfer is coming. And if we're not not only at the table, but if we're not driving this conversation and understanding these risks, it really puts us in a position of not leading. So I'd love to hear from all of you. You can pop in the chat if you have a question, or that's probably with the how the size of our group going to be great. But if you have a question that you really want to ask in person, you're welcome to do that too. So who has a question? I have plenty of questions, but I don't want to. I have no shortage of questions. Everyone knows that. Who's got a question about the security of AI? And I could also ask that poll that we had. Yeah. So great point. Even LinkedIn automatically uses your data for generative AI improvement unless you physically turn off the toggle switch. Such a good point. I didn't even realize there was a toggle switch. So I know that Facebook has that as well. So that's great to know.
So,
Who's
so
got,
Natalie, it's Jean.
yes,
What's interesting, and I think, this goes to the things that were shared earlier by Tina, they're just automatically putting these, they're mining your data without you even knowing it. And it's not
yes.
even occurring to us to check because it's happening randomly. So you have to really be hyper vigilant.
That's such a good point. Thank you, Jean, for mentioning that, because it's true that I didn't realize I don't go on Facebook a lot, and I didn't realize. And then I was reading about Facebook doing this, like all the things they're doing. And I was like, I better go in and check. So Bobby, you've got a question.
And actually, my point was related to Jean's point. So, LinkedIn is automatically using your data unless you click off the button. But at the same time, I'm curious, like, how there's that balance. How do you think about that balance between privacy and how it impacts your generative engine optimization? Like, you can be private and no one ever knows about you because now everybody's using chat and generative AI to search and to find answers where they used to find the answers on Google, and Google would send traffic to your website. Now I'm seeing a big percentage of traffic coming from chat, coming from generative AI. So I'd love to know, Tina, how you think about that balance.
So from a personal perspective, and I want to say personal because a business perspective is probably different, right? But from a personal data perspective, I am very much all about privacy. And that's another reason why I'm very cautious in my use of Gen AI, because I don't want a lot of my data out there. Now, my younger kids, they could care less. They'll put whatever they want, to get the information. But from a personal standpoint, and I do think it's a personal choice, but me personally, I'm very private and I don't like a lot of my data out there.
I have a question for you, Tina, and I don't know if this is on anyone else's mind, but I'm going to jump in here and just ask this really quickly. When you have a paid subscription to ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude or whatever, and you are using that, is it private or no?
So I believe that you can pay for a private, especially like companies, they can pay for the private enterprise edition. Now, again, you are trusting, right, that they're keeping your data private, um, but you can pay for it. But if you do not specifically pay for the private version, then you are providing your data. And they found that a lot of the social media data is ending up in China, right? So it's not even staying within our own country.
Who else has got a question? Gallery. Oh, Carol Jean.
Oh, wait. I think
Oh,
Michelle
sorry.
was
Oh,
ahead of
Michelle.
me.
Sorry, Michelle. Michelle, sorry. Okay.
It's okay. um, so my question is like, so these companies are making these defaults, right? Like, to share our private information. But and my question is like, what can we do, like, or what policy should be, it should be implemented so that the companies, or like any public debates or discussions are being done in order to make this more like have the company follow the rules that our public wants, and also some ethical consideration, right? So these companies are making all these guardrails and ethical standards, but it seems like it's not being really publicly debated, like what has to be in there or not. So do you have any insights or opinions about what needs to be done?
So the governance, I think, will come, right? It always is kind of behind the technology. The group that I stated at the beginning that I'm part of, the Global Council for Responsible AI, they have a presence in Washington, D.C. And I think that AI policy or guidance that was in July was published. I think the original document did not have any statements about the responsible use. And so they helped to ensure that was part of that policy. From a organization standpoint, and I want to make sure I answer all your questions, but from an organization standpoint, I think it's very important to ensure your supply chain contracts have provisions for AI and whether they can use your data. I think, like at my company, they went back and they revised all of their contracts and stated that the other company cannot use our data for AI or any other purpose without our expressed approval of that. So I think that's very important to do.
Yeah, the supply chain is something you don't think about. I mean, a couple of years ago, it just wasn't even, we never would have thought to ask that, right? Carol Jean, you've got a question.
And it really just ties into what you were talking about, Tina. I'm curious because I see this, as I look at it long term, what are the risk and impacts? We've got these great guardrails and we're talking about, responsible use, but really when we look at how is data being mined, right? And when we look at, service contracts and things like that, other partners or collaborators using data from an protective standpoint, because I think we're going to see a lot of litigation when data mining is blowing up because it is a very viable monetary commodity that's being traded, our information. From a sort of an insurance standpoint, I'm curious what you think about what type of insurance policies we might be seeing on the horizon to protect organizations and individual smaller contributor companies from that data mining, because there's so much hacking and just phishing and horrific things that we are all dealing with.
Yeah, and I don't know if you're familiar, there is cyber insurance, which protects against some of that. I am not sure whether cyber insurance has expanded into these AI areas. Yeah, but that is a very good question and something that we probably need to look at, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's a good thing to think about and then also to follow up on, right? I was just posted that I have cybersecurity insurance, but I didn't think to ask about AI. So
Yeah.
That's same. And I was
I
looking
wouldn't
into
have
a
thought of that.
recent
Yeah.
issue and I was just like, okay, wait a minute. I don't see any language in here and
Mhm.
it's not differentiating, generative AI and machine AI and any of those things. And I think it's something that it's got to be happening very quickly because there's a lot of exposure and a lot of risk and very little protection at this point, I think.
Yeah, agreed.
I was looking for Lisa, but I'm not sure if Lisa, oh, there you are. You're in the middle. You took your hand out. I was like, where'd you go?
I did. I was just gonna chime in when we were talking about the aspects of um, people going out and signing up for things. I think it's in the AI space, it's just prevalent altogether. Innocently enough, organizations and employees per se will often provide their information freely when they think that they're getting something in return, when they think that they're gaining access to, free software or free services, or AI is enticing them with content and information. And I think there's an education responsibility within an organization to make sure that the employees understand that they're really not getting something for free. They're giving their information away. And so often companies lose their intellectual property and their internal information innocently because people don't understand and they release things that they shouldn't. They think they have good intentions, but they're releasing information, they shouldn't be doing it. So I think there's a responsibility to make sure that the education structures are in place within organizations to support ensuring that not just the systems are sound technically to prevent the wrong things from happening, but to make sure that people understand what they're doing. And the risks.
Such a good point, Lisa. We just had this conversation in our Women on Boards mastermind about not realizing boards using even Zoom meeting notes. And that is a huge risk because it's discoverable, right? So, and that's just something that, if you have read.ai or you have Firefly and it goes to all your meetings and you're the board secretary, that is not a good thing for you to have turned on for the board meeting. So I think that it's really a great point here. We have a couple questions in the chat. Amy Papernak says, outside of turning the toggle switch off in Facebook and LinkedIn, is there anything else to do? There's WhatsApp and Signal. Is there anything else that should be?
Natalie, I can explain a little bit more, but it's kind of going down a rabbit hole that doesn't apply
yeah.
to a lot of people. So just stop me
Okay.
if you think, hey, take it offline. I do a lot of work with the immigrants, and it's all through a mutual aid group in Chicago. And we get a lot of information regarding their location, so that we can drop off donations to them and everything else. It is of a great concern that we have all that information on our phone. And what do we do to protect that information so we're not making a vulnerable person even more vulnerable? I don't know if this is, I mean, it's a rabbit hole, right? I'm not sure
Yeah.
what we could do.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a big question. And especially obviously being here in Chicago, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Don't
It's a
invite the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic to your Signal group.
Well, they wouldn't be in, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
they could as a volunteer.
Absolutely.
Very
I
well.
mean, they'd probably
Mhm.
be a great person to invite, but I
Yeah.
mean, we have to think about how we use communications, secure communications, and what actually is secure and what actually isn't secure. And even the most secure communications path is not secure if you invite the wrong people, if you leave things open. I just went through a bunch of security settings with my Microsoft Teams consultant, and we moved a lot of levers up in terms of security.
Mm, such a
Thanks,
good
buddy.
point. And a
Yeah.
lot of companies do use Microsoft products and also Copilot, thinking that that is secure because it's an extension of their business. And I'm curious about that, Tina. Is it secure? Are they right to think that? Because they just have the enterprise system of, and Copilot comes with it, right? What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
So they have to pay more, right? To get the secure version. So number one, they have to know that that's out there and to pay more for it. Um, and again, I'm always very concerned about, they say they're not sharing your data, but there's a trust thing there, right? Even, I who does not use a lot of Gen AI type products, or queries and all of that. I'm very selective in how I use it. I sure get, as per my presentation, I get uh, just when and I may just say it, right? I say that my son needs new boots for work, and all of a sudden, Roll King advertisement pops up on my TV. I mean, that can't all be coincidental, right? There's something going on there. So, so yeah, even though I have things turned off, it makes me wonder how much of my data is really being shared.
And is it device specific? For example,
Right. Yeah.
behind the scenes, um, Apple just announced this week that they made they're quietly announced that they have a big deal with Google. So to try to reincarnate Siri and use Google's Gemini technology. And so, if you don't use Siri, I don't use Siri. It's like, well, what's going to happen? Because that's that whole like trust factor, and I don't, that's a different. It's extending out. So that's why these conversations are really important, is to really talk about what is happening, and it changes every day. Trust me when I tell you, I read about it every day. It's something different, right, Tina? It's different
Hmm.
every day. There's some new update. So it's no longer about cybersecurity only that we used to hear about Target getting your credit card. It's
Hmm.
like that seems so easy today, right? Like, oh, got my credit card. Wow. Like now it's like, no, it's something else. So Naomi, do you have a question? Did you have a question? Oh, okay. I didn't know if you, not putting you on the spot. I just, who else has a question? I know there's been some comments here in the chat. Shapa's got some really great suggestions. Thank you. Yes, we lose a lot of,
I mean, I'm sorry I couldn't raise my hand.
Oh, yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
so
No,
Shamba, sorry, I'm not going to turn on my. I mean, I
you're
could
good.
turn on my. The thing is that I think I was just trying to say we lost data privacy since internet. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I mean, you are in some shape or form. You can. People have access. I just wanted to make a comment. Nothing is free. So I've worked in the entertainment industry long enough to know ads. Anything that's ad supported and it's free. Nothing is free. You're paying with your time, and the way they are monetizing is by showing you ads, and that's exactly, and it follows you. There have been some rules, there have been some policies where they were stopped from certain kind of cookies and certain platforms, but just restricts it, but it follows you. So it knows everything. Sadly enough, right? It's very, very hard to protect yourself. But the question I also had for you, Tina, I understand you're part of the governing committee. The European Union, EU, has much, much, much more stringent laws, right? And Denmark has actually people should be following their example. They've made it very clear there are fines, there are, you are going to be penalized for not respecting those. I think we are very lax. What are we doing here in this country to ensure, those things?
So the push for the US to be the lead in AI, they actually removed a lot of the governance that was in the pipeline. So a lot of times cybersecurity and now this AI governance is seen as as folks that are just going to tell you no when you want to innovate. And honestly, that's not the point, right? The point is to be able to do it responsibly,
Exactly.
to put those guardrails in place, because I believe that governance and compliance and all of that will come. And if you already have the governance, a baseline in place, it's much easier to adjust to whatever laws or compliance rules come down the pipeline. But right now, the administration is kind of anti putting any except for the awful things that can happen, but any like restrictions on the AI.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that could be a huge, forcing function, right, to make things safer. Because ultimately, no amount of technology can work against, human malice and human stupidity, right? Both, at times stupid things are
Right.
also done. I mean, I can put guardrails there, but you can still do, you can only do so much. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's really scary things that are happening, right? My daughter is a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and they have a new phenomenon that they're seeing that's called AI psychosis. So, AI is reinforcing their beliefs that are not real, right? And so they're seeing some scary things happen. I think there's a couple lawsuits going on where AI encouraged suicide. So,
Yeah. I
yeah,
think they've now suddenly made, I think I saw OpenAI say something about that Chat GPT is no longer going to give you any advice on certain kinds of, I think it came right after that
yeah,
because, yeah,
and that's a good thing, right?
yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a good thing. We have a question from Jane. When an AI system makes an error that impacts business decisions, who should be held accountable, the developer, the organization, or the end user? That's such a good point because there are so many pieces in this
Mhm.
now, and it goes out. Now all these connective apps, you have Slack, who has like 1,000 connected apps. You have Hub, all these places are now massive connection points. So how do you even know where the origin is for the leak or for the break?
Right. And we're dealing with some of that when we moved to cloud computing, and there was this whole cloud responsibility and who's responsible if if a breach occurs. Is it the cloud provider? Is it the company? The company cannot get rid of all of their responsibility. So I think these are all things that we're going to uh, see progress, like in the legal systems. Me personally, I would just make sure that you have a base level of understanding, like I said in the presentation, where your data is coming from. Do you have the legal rights to that data if you're using it? And the accountability piece, keep the human in the loop, and humans make mistakes too, right? That's not to say that the mistakes are going to go away, but at least you have a human there making the final call.
Absolutely. Patty has a great suggestion here. There's a popular novel called Culpability, and it addresses the ethics and accountability of AI versus humans. She highly recommends it. It's a good read. So thank you, Patty, for that. And Bobby mentioned earlier that in discussing co-pilot security, there were some things that the consultant had suggested, and I would never have thought of this, like using aliases for individual names mentioned, like Batman. Of course, I'm a Marvel fan, so I would be using Captain Marvel, but I like that idea. Wonder Woman, like that's a
Wonder
very
Woman's DC too.
yeah, I know, but I gotta have my power, Wonder Woman. I'm aging myself now. Who else has a question? This has been such a great conversation. What else is on your mind about the cybersecurity or anything else AI? I mean, we've been really diving deep into the security element of it, but you have an expert in both cyber and AI here with us today, Tina. So who has a question about it? And we have other experts. We've got Lisa in the house, who's also a cyber expert and who can answer too. But I'd love to have who else has a question about what you're doing. Anything about Agentic? Is anyone using Agentic AI? Do you understand it? How it can work for you? Any questions on that? Because I know that's it can be confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone have a
And that's where it gets really scary, is when
yes?
you have AI making decisions and you don't have the human validating those decisions.
Mm,
Um,
yeah. Well, if we do not have any other questions, I'm going to just share a couple things, a couple updates for all of you, and the good news is we're all in this together. That's the point of us coming in together. So I am going to minimize my chat and just share something really quick with everyone because I'm really, really excited. Let's make sure I get the right thing. It's this one. We'll go to this next. So we have another innovation woman speaker, Bobby Carlton. I met both of these speakers in Innovation Women, but coming up on my anniversary with Wendy. Wendy is going to be speaking on commanding the future, how women will lead the next AI power shift. And that is going to be in our new program. So I'm just going to mention Next to Lead AI is a new program that we have designed to talk about things like this. It is a high-level council where experts like Tina and Bobby is in it, Jennifer Lentner is in it. Many of the people that are here today are founding members. We'd love for you to be a founding member. We have a special early Black Friday for you as a thank you. So check it out. If you have any questions, we'd love to hear from you. The goal for us with Next to Lead AI and why we came up with this is really for us to be driving these conversations. AI has not been, in general, if you have ever done a query, you know what it comes back. And Tina, I know you've experienced this. It does not come back sounding like you unless you train it, and then it still comes back, and then you still have to tell it, don't use the truth is, don't use empower, don't use confidence, don't use, there's a lot of don'ts. We're creating our own chat GPT. We are going to have office hours Michelle Peacock is going to teach us next week how to create your own GPT. So there's something for everyone. And we just really want women to be in the driver's seat. So I hope that you will join us in this conversation. If you have questions about anything that we talked about today, we would love to hear from you. So thank you for being here today. We really appreciate it. And it has been fun to have this conversation. And anyone have any last minute questions? I think I have one last slide, which is any other questions that are coming up for anyone? Any last questions for anyone?
I put it in a chat, but what can you like suggest a couple of like tools that for us to learn, like, or is there something that's good to for us to know?
So
Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
I only use like ChatGPT, and I know about cloud and then Geo, but are there any other things that will be useful for our business and for or yeah?
so Natalie, did you want to answer that?
No, you go, and I'm going to give a link to the thing that I read every day, which I give a summary in the next Delete AI, but I'll give my preferred place where I get stuff, get information from. So this is my preferred information, but go ahead, Tina, share.
Okay. So I personally would say it depends on the use case and what you're trying to do. You know, are you looking for an assistant or something to produce documents or, and that will really, and it changes so quickly. You know, every 3, 6 months, it's like things have seemed to totally change in the AI landscape. So really trying to keep up with that. Natalie's, and I don't use that, but I will take a look at that. It's probably a good thing to look at. And again, if you have a specific use case, I would go out and just like search it and see, you know, what comes up from Gartner or whatever as the best thing in that area.
Yeah, Michelle, I'd like to, I mean, Tina, I'll chime in here on a couple, like on the use case. So I always say I DJ AI. So I use multiple AI tools, and it is because I'm trying to push it and test it for our members, for this program, for Her Health X and all the things that I'm doing. However, there's definitely, they definitely don't do everything well at the same time. So if you're looking for research, Perplexity AI is definitely better than some of the others, but there's two new search functions, Comet, which is Perplexity and it's free, and Atlas, which just got launched, which is ChatGPT. ChatGPT used to not be able to do search very well, and now it can. So try those two out. For some of the things that you're doing, Michelle, Perplexity would probably be a really good tool to try. If you're looking for images, I have my opinion on images. Canva has a tool, an AI tool. It does not respond. It is one shot. You get to tell it what you want. And if it's right, great. But Naomi and I had a situation where our images were taken and put into AI, and it was horrific. There was no back and forth with that. So sometimes it doesn't always do a great job with it. There is the Nano Banana in Gemini for images. Also, if you ask it to change something, it can't comprehend, and it just gives you something new. And then it changes everything. So if you say like, give me a pink blouse, of course, this is what I would ask for. It'll do that. And then it's like totally different people. It's not the picture. So you can go on hercsuite.com. If you go to our next Delete AI, you can see I generated a lot of those images to try it. So I'm always pushing. So to answer your question, those would be some of my tips to try. Canva would be an easy one. You can try it, but it's really baby. It is like we just got round wheels. You know, we're not even like we haven't even gotten the car yet or the bicycle. We just got a round wheel. So, who else has a question? Any other
Thank you
questions?
so much.
Yeah, and reach out to me, Michelle, if I can help. If you ever want to hop on something and take a look. Any other questions about what we're using, what we like? Any other ideas? Anybody? All right. Well, it has been wonderful to be with you all today. Thank you for being at our first ever Next to Lead AI. We're so appreciative for you to spend time with us today. Thank you, Tina, for helping us understand a complex topic like security and AI. It is a complex topic, and it has been really helpful for us to hear about it. And I look forward to staying in touch with all of you. If you have any questions, reach out, and we look forward to I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.